Hey, bookworms. So you're thinking about reading John Green's Turtles all the way down.
Mm.
Uh-huh. And you want to know if it's worth your time. Well, you've come to the right place because in this deep dive, we're going to break down this book and give you all the info you need to make that decision.
Yeah, and to kind of kick things off right away, Turtles All the Way Down, it's a really, really compelling look at OCD and anxiety. But the plot, it feels a little secondary to that, almost like it's not the main focus.
Okay, so not exactly a page-turner, if what I'm hearing is right. But John Green,
Mhm.
he's known for these super captivating stories.
Mm.
So why isn't the plot, like, front and center here?
Well, it's like the plot's almost like a background for Aza's journey with her mental health. There's this one review that kind of sums it up perfectly. It says, John Green using a missing person to make teens fall in love. And it's funny because it's true. It's like a recurring thing with him, right? Like, remember Looking for Alaska,
Yeah.
Paper Towns? It's like he's got this thing for missing people.
That's true.
Yeah.
He does seem to use that a lot.
Yeah.
So, okay, maybe the plot's not the biggest draw here, but what about Green's writing style? Is that what keeps people hooked?
See, now that's where things get kind of interesting because his writing, it's like his signature style is really thoughtful, introspective. It gets you thinking, but some people find it a little heavy-handed.
Okay, so some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Some reviewers were all about the philosophical conversations, but others thought they were like totally unrealistic for teenagers
Yeah.
and kind of annoying.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
All right, so mixed bag on the writing style. I get it. But can you give me like a concrete example of what you mean by heavy-handed?
Sure, like take his descriptions, for example. Sometimes he goes into so much detail about the simplest things and it can really slow down the pace.
Yeah, I can see how that would be annoying.
Like, one reviewer mentioned how Elza's 37-minute lunch period felt like it took up way too much space at the beginning of the book.
Okay, yeah, that's a long lunch.
Yeah, like, we get it. It's lunch.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, people really praise how he portrays mental illness.
Oh, really?
He doesn't shy away from how raw and messy OCD and anxiety can be. He really gets into the nitty-gritty of Aza's thought spirals. And readers, especially those who have dealt with similar struggles, they find it super powerful and authentic.
That makes sense.
Oh.
Can you give us like a specific example from the book or maybe the reviews that really shows that?
Oh, for sure. There's this one reviewer who talked about how Green describes Aza's thought patterns as this tightening infinitely spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And it like perfectly captures that feeling of being trapped inside your own head, like you're constantly battling these intrusive thoughts. It's a really powerful image, don't you think?
I do. I totally get that. But let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone has experienced severe OCD.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how relatable can Aza's struggles actually be for the average reader?
That's a great question. What's so interesting is that even reviewers who haven't personally gone through what Aza's going through, they still found her struggles to be authentic and moving. It's like Green's writing allows readers to connect with her on this deeper emotional level, even if they don't relate to the specifics.
So it's more about the emotional truth of the experience than the specific details.
Exactly. There's one reviewer who said that even though she doesn't have OCD, she felt this book to my core. And that's like Green's superpower. He can evoke that kind of empathy.
Wow. Okay, so we've got the writing style down. It's a
Yeah.
mixed bag, but he nails the mental illness aspect.
Yeah.
Now, what about the actual content and themes of the book? What can readers expect there?
Well, like we've been talking about Aza's experience with OCD and anxiety, that's really the heart of the book. Green dives deep into the ups and downs of her mental health journey and how it affects her relationships and just her everyday life. And there are also themes of friendship, family dynamics, the whole shebang of growing up.
Got it. And how does Turtles All the Way Down stack up against Green's other popular books? Like The Fault in Our Stars and all those.
It's similar in some ways. You've got your intelligent, quirky teenage characters, but this one feels way more introspective. The focus is on Aza's internal struggles, and the romance, it's there, but it's definitely not the main event.
So it's kind of a departure from his usual formula then.
In a way, yeah, Turtles All the Way Down has this more mature tone compared to The Fault in Our Stars. It's more about self-discovery and navigating the challenges of life and dealing with the reality of mental illness.
So not exactly a light and fluffy read then.
Nope, definitely a heavier one, but it's powerful and insightful.
Interesting. Okay, I think we've got a pretty good handle on the basics now. But I am curious about...
Hughes's character. She's really interesting, like how authors can write these flawed characters, but readers still connect with them.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that. I have heard some readers found her a little hard to like.
It's true. She's not your typical, like, bubbly, happy protagonist. She can be pretty self-absorbed. And her anxiety, It makes her act in ways that aren't always the nicest. Let's just say that. One reviewer even said that she becomes so obsessive it's uncomfortable to read.
Whoa, that's intense.
Yeah.
But I guess that's Green being real about mental illness, right? Even if it makes you a little uncomfortable.
Exactly. He's not trying to sugarcoat it, you know? He shows the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's what makes her so interesting, even if she's not always the easiest to love.
I get that.
Mm.
It's cool to see a character who isn't perfect,
Yeah,
who messes up and has problems, like a real person.
totally. And plus, she's a teenager,
Mm.
right? Teenagers are still figuring things out. They're messy. They make mistakes. And they don't always have the answers. And I think a lot of readers can relate to that, no matter how old they are.
Absolutely. Everyone feels lost and confused sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when you're a teenager.
Yeah.
So, okay, we've talked about Aza, but who is this book really for? Like, who's the target audience?
Well, I mean, on the surface, it's a young adult novel, right? You've got teenagers, the story's about high school. But honestly, I think it could resonate with a lot of different people.
Really? Like who else?
Anyone who has ever struggled with mental health, or even if they know someone who has. Green's so real and honest about Aza's journey. It could be really relatable and even helpful for people who are going through something similar.
So it's deeper than just a typical teen drama then.
For sure. It's got those deeper layers that speak to a more mature audience, too.
I see. And that's probably why John Green is so popular, right? His books appeal to both teenagers and adults.
Totally. He's got that crossover appeal. He can write about stuff that's relevant to everyone.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The plot, the writing, the characters, the themes, even who the book's for.
Yeah.
But the big question is Turtles All the Way Down actually worth reading?
The million-dollar question, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it all depends on what you want from a book, you know? If you're looking for a light, fun read that you can fly through, this one probably isn't. It's heavy. It goes deep into mental illness. It can be tough emotionally.
Definitely not a beach read.
No way.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a book that will make you think, a story about real characters that explores important stuff in an honest way, then yeah, I think it's worth checking out.
Okay, that makes sense. But what if I'm still not sure? Like, are there any other books that have similar themes, but maybe a different style or pace?
Oh, absolutely. If you want something that tackles mental health but with more humor, I'd recommend Eliza and Her Monsters. It's about this teenage girl who makes this super popular webcomic, but she struggles with social anxiety. It's got a great mix of funny and heartwarming.
That does sound good.
Ugh.
What about if I want a book with a more exciting plot, but still have those deeper themes?
And check out We Were Liars. It's a mystery that will keep you guessing, but it also deals with family secrets, grief, and loss.
Awesome. Okay, those are some great suggestions. Thanks. But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about, something to consider as they decide about Turtles All the Way Down.
Remember that image from the book? The one with the world sitting on the back of a giant turtle and that turtle standing on another turtle, and it just keeps going like, turtles all the way down.
The Turtles All the Way Down thing, it's such a powerful image. It's like a metaphor for searching for meaning in a world that feels chaotic and confusing.
It totally is, and I think it sums up the whole book. You know, just like Aza's trying to find solid ground in her own mind, we're all searching for something to hold on to, something to make sense of it all when life feels crazy.
I love that. And what I think is so cool about Turtles All the Way Down is that it doesn't give you easy answers. It makes you question things and think and figure out your own conclusions about reality and what it all means.
And that can be a little scary for some people, not having all the answers. But it's also really honest, because in life, there aren't always easy answers. We have to learn to live with that uncertainty and find peace even when things feel chaotic.
So to all our listeners out there, I want to ask you, how do you deal with uncertainty? How do you find that sense of peace when the world feels like it's constantly changing? It's something Aza struggles with, and it's something we can all think about in our own lives.
And that's something to think about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Turtles All the Way Down. We hope you found it helpful, and that you can now decide if you want to read this book. We'll see you next time.
You know what's funny? When we were talking about that whole turtle metaphor, I was thinking about how it connects to Aza and her intrusive thoughts.
Oh, yeah? How so?
It's like those thoughts, those anxieties, they just keep piling up, one on top of the other, like turtles, with no real base, and it never ends.
I see it. It's like that feeling of never being on solid ground, and that's all over the book. It's not just Aza's mental health. It's about how we all try to find meaning when everything feels so uncertain.
Exactly. And it's like those turtles, our beliefs, the things we think are true, they can feel shaky sometimes. Like we're always looking for that next turtle to keep it all from falling apart.
And that's what makes the book so interesting. It doesn't try to give you all the answers. It makes you think about those big questions like, what is real? What does it all mean? Right. And I think that's so much better than just having everything tied up neatly at the end. It makes you really think about it and come to your own conclusions.
I agree. And that's what John Green is so good at. He doesn't shy away from the complicated stuff. He wants you to think for yourself.
Well said.
Yeah.
So would you say that Turtles All the Way Down is a must-read?
I wouldn't say it's for everyone. It's a tough book. You know, it's not exactly a light read, but if you want something that really makes you think about life and what it all means, then yeah, I think it's worth it.
I agree. Even if it's not your kind of book, John Green is great at making you think and starting conversations. And that's pretty cool.
Definitely. He shows how powerful books can be.
Well, on that note, I think we'll leave everyone to think about those turtles and all the questions they bring up. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Turtles All the Way Down. We hope it helped you figure out if this book is for you. Until next time, happy reading.